Hi and welcome to VeloGPS. In this video we're going to demonstrate the round-trip routing function on the Garmin Edge 830. Now before we dive in we need to set a few of the navigation options, so we select the menu icon from the bottom left, and within here we want to choose the activity profile that we're going to update, which will be in this case the road profile. So within the road profile we now need to scroll down and find the navigation options, and we will select those, and then within navigation we want to choose routing. So this will now update our routing options when navigating a route or when coming up with a course. So first of all we have popularity routing. Now this is turned on, and what this does is it means the 830 leverages data from Garmin Connect and all of the rides that have been uploaded from a kind of heat map to discover where the most popular roads are. So if you have popularity routing turned on, it will try and take you on the most well-ridden and popular roads. If you want to turn it off, it's simply a case of just tapping it to turn off. Next we have routing mode, and we have various options, so road cycling, mountain biking, driving, riding your motorbike, walking, and we're going to choose road cycling. Next we can choose the calculation method, so when the 830 is calculating its route, you can choose to minimise distance, time or ascent. So here we're going to choose to just try and keep the elevation as low as possible. So then we look at Avoidance Setup. So Avoidance Setup, we want to select items that we want to avoid. So at the moment we have everything selected, so we will avoid major highways, toll roads, unpaved roads, ferries and narrow trails. But if you don't mind riding on busy roads, you can turn that off. Personally, we like to have quieter roads, so we keep that one selected. So we've selected all the items we want to avoid, and we're going to go back again. And then lastly, one of the important things to select is the Recalculation Mode. Now, if you deviate from the course that you've loaded or that the Garmin 830's come up with, it will issue an off-course alert, so that's a visual and audible alert, which more often than not actually is plenty sufficient to let you know that you're off course within a relatively short distance, and we prefer to just turn around and head back to the course that we've ridden. But you can have it selected to automatically recalculate a route, which will try and recalculate a route to bring you back to your course, or you can have prompted options, so it will come up and say, would you like us to recalculate our route? But for the reasons we've said, we prefer to have this turned off so that we can just double back and rejoin the route that we originally set. Okay, so we've set up all of our navigation options. We're going to find our way back to the home page. And from the home page, we now want to find round-trip routing, so we select the navigation option, and within navigation we select courses, and then we have the round-trip course option, so we're going to select that. Now here's where we set how far the round trip wants to be, so the distance, where we're going to start from, and what direction we're going to head in from the start. So if we select distance, we're perhaps just going to go for a slightly shorter ride than the 25 we had up there, so we'll select 15 miles. We're going to choose a start location. Now you can choose from your current location, you can drop a pin in a map, save locations, but we're going to go with search tools. And within search tools you have points of interest, cities, intersections, but we're going to choose to navigate to an address. So it's an address in England, and we know the little village we want to go to, which is a small town, or a small village rather, called Crondall. Now it's not a QWERTY keyboard, so it's a little bit harder to type things in. But there we go, it's auto-populated the rest of it. So we've got Crondall in Surrey. We don't know the house number, so we're just going to tick that option. But we do know that there's a street called Pankridge Street in Crondall. P-A-N, there we go, so Pankridge Street, we've selected that. And again, we'll select Pankridge Street. And we can see here it's put a pin in it on a map. And it's actually telling us it's a couple of miles away from where we are at the moment. So if we just zoom in, we're going to zoom right in, if it lets us, there we go. Slowly zoom in, and we can just see here as we zoom in, if I go on the map, this is Pankridge Street. Let's just drag it down, there we go, so we're on Pankridge Street, we'll come back off there. Okay, so we're happy with Pankridge Street, we select use, and we can see our start location is now listed as Pankridge Street. We now want to pick a direction to start off in, so we can head north, east, south or west, but we're going to let the 830 make its own mind up. So now we've selected the parameters for our round trip. We're going to invite the 830 to come up with 3 routes, and we'll quickly fast forward until it's found them. Okay, so the 830's come up with 3 round trip routes starting from Pankridge Street. We can see that the first one is 17.8 miles with about 110, 111 metres of climbing. Route number 2 is just under 15 miles with 200 metres of climbing. And route number 3 is a little bit more at 16 miles and 252 metres of climbing. So if we want to look at what those routes look like, we can select them, and we can see here that Pankridge Street is down on the southern sort of tip of this route, and we can zoom in a little bit and have a look at the route. Again, we can see at the top it's 17.8 miles, 111 metres rather of climbing. And if we want to look at the elevation profile for the ride, you'll see there's a little elevation icon on the left here that we can tap on, and it will just bring up a plot of the elevation over the distance of the ride. So we can see that we've got a bit of a climb, a bit of a hill in the middle, a climb and a descent. So if we want to look at route number 2, we hit the back arrow and we select route number 2, and here we can see that the start of the route's over on the left-hand side there, Pankridge Street again. We've got 200 metres of climbing, so let's look at what the elevation profile for this ride. So we've got a few climbs over this distance rather than sort of one slightly bigger one. So that's what route number 2 looks like. And actually, just to show you, you can skip between the routes using the arrows at the top. And then we've got our buddy there saying that he's not going to be able to make the 13th, which was a ride we had planned on the Isle of Wight. So we can see that we've got text notifications linked via our phone here. So that was a text notification popping up. So forgive that. So where were we? We're just explaining that you can actually skip between route 1, 2 and 3 using the arrows at the top. So just there you can see that we've scrolled across to route number 3, and we're starting off at Pankridge Street in the north there, so presumably definitely heading south at the start of that ride. So again, we can look at the elevation profile for this, and we've got a climb towards the end of that 15, 16 mile ride. So once you're happy to pick a ride, all you need to do is select the ride option, and that will select the ride. It will start the navigation. It'll open up the map page. What you need to remember is always to hit the start button at the bottom below as well as the ride option, because if you don't hit the start button, you won't record your ride. So in a few short minutes, that's how to set a round-trip routing, or that's how to set up the round-trip routing option on the Garmin Edge 810.
Alright, kick back, relax, and let's hit it again. While you go tell your mother, father, cousin, and kin, and your other friends that don't even have a clue what this doo-doo crew is about to do. You know it ain't fool's gold, this is kryptonite. Super MCs freeze when I hit the mic, right? EFF is the AKA. I keep it popping like bubble WRAP. And if you don't know by now, then listen up, stupid. CSWS came to do it. Got more flavor than you and your crew, kids. So get your hands together if you're ready to lose it, and bounce to the breakneck beat. And like junior, senior said to move your